Hi, everyone. Welcome to Paradigm, the interview series where we look into the ethics of artificial intelligence and its implications for online safety and today's youth. I'm your host, Ruhani Surana, and I'm honored to introduce Nitin Jaiswal, the founder of AllAgeTech and a thought leader on the longevity economy. With more than 30 years of experience working across finance, technology, and policy, he has worked at global leading companies such as Bloomberg. Today, he focuses on how AI, innovation, and demographic change can help build a future where longer lives are healthier, more productive, and more inclusive in society. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today, Mr. Jaiswal. We hope you're doing well.
Thank you, Ruhani. Thank you for the invitation. I'm doing very well. Looking forward to the conversation.
All right, then, without further ado, let's get right into it with our first question. So, in your view, what are the two most important elements in an ethical, safe, and youth-friendly AI integrated future?
See, one thing, what I see, we have to accept that technology is here and it is going to stay with us. Okay. We need to find ways how we are going to work around it rather than trying to figure out how we are going to push it back or work against it. Because I see a lot of conversations where we are trying to push back on the technology. Okay. The way I see, if I can just take 30 seconds on this, Ruhani, is the disruption. This is something I always share with young people when they have apprehension about technology and disruption and how it's going to impact us. Okay. So technology disruption is not new. Okay. It has always been there for a very long time. You had cars replacing horses, then you have industrial revolution, you have computerization, you have dot tech, internet. And every time we had the same conversation, same question which you are actually asking. Bit of apprehension how the future is going to look like, how safe it will be, how we will evolve. But the good part is that humans figure will always figure out a way to deal with that. Okay. And here also we will be able to figure out a way how we are going to live with it. So to your point, what are the critical issues elements over here? I think the what unique about AI is what is real and what is unreal is my biggest worry. Okay, so I may create a fake looking video which looks very real today. I'm alive today to defend it. 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, myself or a leader or what the person you have actually built is not there to defend it. That may actually become the truth because there's nobody to defend that. Okay. So to me, that element of the realism which is coming in and our inability to differentiate between what is real and what is generated, to me, is a bigger issue which we need to figure out an answer for.
For sure, and I think that that's definitely very important. Moving into our second question, then, you often speak about the longevity economy, looking at how society is not designed for 100-year lifespans. How do you think AI will reshape the opportunities and challenges facing people who may live and work much longer than previous generations have?
I think AI is going to create a golden era for the longevity economy. Okay. And because there are two, three factors, I'll share that with you. The one, let's talk about the medical, the health span, what we call. So at Age Tech Leadership Labs, we look longevity as an economy of people above 50 years. Okay, and you said why it is so important. The reason is because there are more people above the age of 60 today than at the age of under five. So the cohort of people above 50 and 60 is going to be the faster growing demography. Okay, so how technology is going to come and impact? Yeah. In terms of say medicine, if you take, okay, it takes a long time for a clinical trial to happen for the medicine to come and hit the market. But AI is able to fast track that, okay, because they're able to create different kind of simulations, which was earlier not possible. Okay, so that where what I feel is the one advantage, the time to market of the new innovation is going to be shorter, and more importantly, I hope that it is also going to reduce the cost of those innovations. Because today the challenge is the innovation is happening, but only very few people are able to take advantage because of the cost factor. And I feel AI is going to reduce that friction and reduce the cost. So on the healthcare side, that is the benefit which I see is going to happen. Okay, more people are going to live, are able to access that innovation and live longer. The second element I feel where it is a golden era for the aging population in the era of AI is that, people have a lot of ideas. People have a lot of time and knowledge and wisdom once they retire. Okay. Now the issue is what are they going to do with that? Earlier, they had to had a lot of access to resources to do, use those knowledge and wisdom. But today, thanks to AI, I don't need most of those resources because I'm able to access easily through AI. I am personally actually using it. For example, if I have an idea where I want to solve a problem and I want to build an application, in past, I had to figure out who I'm going to talk to, find the developer, spend money, and figure out whether it's going to work or no. But today I go to cloud, I go to the terminal, and I just go to the code, I give my idea, and immediately it is able to produce my thoughts into actionable idea. Now, suddenly what was not possible before is possible now. So I am not disconnected from my wisdom once I leave my job, once I retire, but I have more resources on my hand to keep myself engaged and relevant. And just to sum up on this, on the longevity part, the most important thing at your age you may not understand. As you keep getting older, you realize money is important, but after a certain stage, if you don't have that purpose to wake up to, and even if you have all the health and wealth in the world, you're not going to feel good and you're going to have much negative impact on your health. And AI is going to help that purpose span. And that's why I feel between health and a purpose, this is going to be the golden age for longevity economy thanks to AI.
Wow, thank you for that insight. That's definitely a very unique take. Just as a spin-off of that, what do you have to say to, counter arguments that have been surfacing on media lately about how AI is this major thing that is, barring the older community out of the
Sure.
working community, out of jobs, out of society as it becomes even ever more, AI integrated. What do you have to say about those counter arguments?
Yeah. So there is a very interesting law. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's called Emerson law. Okay. And you should actually, have a look at that. I always quote that. It's a very interesting thing about that is it says that we always overestimate the impact of technology disruption in the short run and underestimates its impact in the long run. Okay. So what we are seeing right now is the overestimation of the impact AI is going to create. Could be on the negative side. You were not there at the time when internet came. The same conversation was on that will it actually going to lead to job losses? Before that, when the computerization happened, when I was your age or maybe younger than you, at that time, the same conversation was happening. The computerization, will it lead to job losses? Industrialization, people said, we are doing everything by hand. Now machine is going to do, will it lead to job losses? And before that, horses were replaced by the cars, were replaced by the horses, same conversation. Okay, so that's the beauty of the technology disruption. We're always going to have this conversation. The magnitude may change, but it is our inability to adapt is going to be a bigger factor than the technology itself. Because if you see the number of jobs which internet has produced is huge. The number of jobs the app world has produced is huge. And the job which computers have produced is huge. So if you don't have the ability to adapt, is going to be a bigger challenge for the younger, older population, I call, okay, who are in their 40s and 50s. But to your point, what happens when I'm like 60, 70, 80? At that stage, I'm not so much of a worker or employability is an issue. It's more about whether I will be part of the ecosystem. Okay. The technology, if you see, if I can share one of the work which we are doing, Vani, is we call this the digital exclusion. Okay. So here, like my mother essentially can use 3 or 4 apps, not because she doesn't understand technology, because she moved from analog to digital world, because the interfaces we have created could not keep pace with the cognitive decline of the brain. That is the reason why people above 50 and 60 and 70 are just excluded from the digital world. Okay, so if the issue we need to be focusing on, how do we actually create the interfaces? How do we create technology on back of AI, which the aging population, because of the cognitive decline of brain, can adapt it? So there are two parts you have to see the problem. One is the people who are still in the working age, what they need to do. and one is where they're going to be the consumer of technology. The first part, they need to be adaptive. Okay. The second part, the technology need to be adaptive to change so that the older population can use it. There will be disruption, there will be job losses, but it will produce and open up more opportunities only if you are ready for it.
Thank you so much. And now let's go into a little bit more of your personal background before all age tech. So having worked across, finance, technology, public policy, what do you think is the biggest blind spot that policymakers and enterprises have today when looking at the intersection of AI and demographic change?
What I feel, so I'm writing a book called The Black Elephant. Okay. So Black Elephant go deep into the blind spots we all ignoring. It's an elephant in the room we are ignoring. So in this case, so you have one where the technology is evolving, and your question is, what is that we are missing, but we should be focusing on? Okay. And when I was running the Black Elephant diagnostic on the whole AI, and my takeaway over there is the underlying infrastructure is not keeping pace with the technology development. Okay. I'll give you an example of not exactly the older demography, but it applicable to your demography is the education system. Okay. So now AI is able to help me to learn faster. Okay. They are able to build tools. I'm able to use them and do it. Okay. Everybody celebrate that. But the blind spot we are actually missing, unless and until you change the education system, which was still plus 10 plus 2 plus 4, where I have to go to school for almost like 10 months in a year. So now you're telling me that I'm able to finish the course in, let's say, 2 months because AI is able to help me fast track it. So what happens to rest of 10 months? Okay. What is my incentive to go to school? So should we actually allow kids to sit in a room to study? The answer is no, because my generation will tell you the reason why where we are because of our social interaction. You cannot take away the social interaction element, the human element, just because AI is able to help you to study faster. Okay. The second part is the are we using AI to pass the exam or are we using AI to actually learn? We have seen in internet case it was largely to pass exam. There's Khan, Sher Khan, I think, or one of those uh, YouTube channel where people used to learn maths. People went there to pass the exam. Okay. But that is not actually, you're changing the paradigm. You're actually just helping me to pass the exam, not helping me to expand my knowledge. So I think the biggest blind spot, what I'm trying to make here is unless and until we change the underlying infrastructure. In this case, how are we going to redesign the education system in the age of AI? AI is always going to fast track and we are going to left behind, not able to take the biggest benefit what AI has done. School is one, but banking could be another one. Healthcare could be another one, which is relevant to the aging demography. Wealth is relevant to the aging demography. All these cases, same problem. Okay, so we need to step back. The biggest blind spot to your answer question is we are not looking at the underlying infrastructure. We need to redesign in the world of AI. And guess what? If I have to let's sign off on this, is AI is just one of the many disruption, and it is not the last one. As we speak AI, the horizon is already seeing the next wave of disruption. By the time you realize we're always, going to be fighting for that. So we need to have that agile mindset how we are going to do that.
All right. I think it's a great and insightful response that you've given here. So, without further ado, then let's move into our closer for today. So,
Yeah.
who do you think should bear the responsibility in terms of making AI safe and fair?
I've been thinking about this question for quite some time to find the answer. Okay. It's a very difficult one because, uh, your generation will say that you are, censoring you, controlling the whole thing. How can you control my expression of views and all that? And see, I think basically the way I look at it is because honestly, I could not find a definite answer. If it is, I'll be very keen to read and learn myself. The way I could actually think is that. We will evolve to deal with it. Okay. And the reason why I say is, again, I have to go back and give you examples. Sorry to take some time on that. Is imagine a time when there was no home addresses. The conversation at that time, people must have said, "Oh, now I know where Nitin stays because there is an address to him." So people can come and do harm or come and steal or do whatever they want. And then if you go back to your earlier generation, we used to have the telephone directory where every person's name was available, address was available. But nobody turned up to my house to steal or do anything harm. You'll always have bad actors. You'll always have bad actors. But those are exceptions, not the norm. Okay. At every stage, we have actually seen those vulnerability in terms of how technology could be misused. But yes, bad actors will be there. They will be exploiting it. And we, the government and the policymakers and the individuals and the parents have to, stay agile to that. Okay. And individually, I think we need to take more responsibility. That's the only thing I can say because the technology is such that very difficult to pin it down and, control it. So I think there will be bad actors who will create, some kind of trouble. But should we make them as a norm, or should we make them an exception and adapt and adopt the innovation benefits which actually bring on the table? That's the only thing I can think of. That is not the best answer. I'm still searching for it, but I'm going to keenly watch all your podcasts to see if anybody could actually give that answer.
For sure. Thank you so much for what has been an incredible discussion today around the ethics of AI. Thanks for coming on the series, Mr. Jaiswal.
Thank you, Ruhani. Best of luck with your podcast. And I've been reading it and learning quite a bit from your conversations. And as I said, the ethics part is something I'm going to closely keep a track on.